Hey guys, welcome back to another Peaker's Advantage video. This video was requested by our $25 patron Maddie. If you also want to become a Patreon, if you also want to become a patron, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/PeakersAdvantage. Help support the channel, help support the videos we do here. I'm here again with Mauisnake, and we're bringing you a NAMDL Season 32 breakdown. We got all the teams here. We got all of them. We got Livid. We got Singularity. We got INTZ. There's a whole bunch of them. You see them all there. We got them all. We got Peaker's Advantage, of course, although they're not actually affiliated with Peaker's Advantage in any way, besides the fact that they're my friends, so they're using that name. But yeah, so we're going to be breaking everything down. We got the teams that we think are going to be in relegation. We got the middle of the park teams. We got the teams that we think are going to be contending for playoffs, and then also the teams that we think could potentially win the league. So Mauisnake, what do we got here? We're going to start from the bottom all the way up to the top.
Yeah, so what happens with MDL is that the bottom five teams, the worst team gets sent straight to advance. And then the four teams on top of them, so like the four worst teams beyond that, get sent to the relegation tournament. And so those four teams, plus that fifth team that I think might lose, in my opinion, are going to be the following. Just Swing, Monstars, Ascent, Big Frames, and Bushido Boys. I'd say Bushido Boys and Big Frames could work their way out of this, but the bottom two teams, Monstars and Just Swing, kind of being a coach of an MDL team and knowing how the other teams practice, I kind of just don't see Just Swing and Monsters really fighting themselves out of that. Just Swing has some really skilled players. They have Winsome, they have Axe, they have some MDL mainstays like Jake Roll. He's been in this league for a long time, Raz as well. But they always have to cancel practices because just some random individual is like not there or can't play. And I feel like it's a different reason every time. And nothing against these guys personally, but if you guys have to cancel your practices this frequently all the time, I'm gonna have to hold it against you, and I can't see that you're gonna do well during the season because they have a lot of fire. They have some decent firepower, but without coordination, it's really hard to make a team like this work. The other team that's at the bottom is Monstars. I hear these guys practice literally once a week, if even that. So
Yeah.
I just can't see that happening. This is a team with some other like MDL mainstay names: Texaproto, Rico, Swisher, Whitmer. Like that doesn't sound terrible on paper, but if you only practice once a week, you're just gonna get bodied by teams that are a little bit more prepared. That's the name of the game. Um, Other than that, Ascent, I just feel like this team was just kind of thrown together randomly. They had a few players that were poached here and there. In fact, we poached one of their players for Peaker's Advantage, and it just doesn't look like they're gonna. I don't know. I can't really say right now how well they're gonna do. I don't think there's a lot of super heavy skill on that roster. They're okay, but they're not great. Okay, so moving to the middle of the pack, I'm going to go over these teams really briefly, and I feel like it really depends on how much these guys prep, all of them. But INTZ, after losing KNG, I think that they might make playoffs, but it's really hard to say that because they were hard carried by INTZ for the longest time now.
By KNG,
It's
yeah.
pretty or KNG, not yeah. So KNG, I mean, he was the heavy hitter. He was like the only reason that team felt relevant a lot of the time, and without him, it's going to be tough. Other teams: Rap Gang, Team Divine, Mythic, and Livid. Mythic brought on three new players. They got rid of Anger and Poland, and they had kind of a revolving fifth last season. And their current team, I mean, it looks like, I mean, it's just Mythic things. You know, they're just having fun out there. They're streaming and everything. Right now, I feel like they've lost some of the chemistry. I watched some of their practice today, actually, and I actually even subbed to Flom, so shouts out Flom. But
Hey, shout out to Flum, he's my homie.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't feel like they're going over things like really in depth or anything like that. They're just kind of playing the season out and whatever. I mean, good for them. So I think the one team out of there that can really work their way out is probably INTZ. Just depends who they get as a new fifth. Whoever replaces KNG has to be a heavy hitter because that team. I mean, they have the structure to do well, but I don't know if they have the firepower right now.
Right.
All right. So
Uh,
moving on to the playoff teams. So I'm separating this into two categories. So basically, the top like potential winners of MDL, and then the playoff likelies. So my playoff likelies right now are Team One, Party Astronauts, Singularity in their whatever form they are in right now, and Quest, the Quest. The Quest actually won MDL a few seasons ago, but it feels like they've kind of stagnated just a little bit, and I don't know if there's the hunger there in that team that's necessary to get them over the edge, over the hump, make it to the top. But there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the Quest is going to make playoffs along with Team One. Party Astronauts, they made playoffs last season as the eighth seed, I'm pretty sure, and they just have really solid players. Stellar, Robbie, Ponalone, really strong three-man core, and then they picked up a couple players from Advanced. And we've scrimmed them before. We beat them in a BO3, but in scrims they hit pretty hard, so they're pretty scary actually at times. Singularity, you don't really know what's going on with their roster right now. There's nothing official that's been announced, at least. There's like rumors going on in the scene, but we're not going to get into that. And I feel like if they pick up really any players that are kind of floating around the free agent North America scene, they have a good chance to make playoffs. They have right now their roster is Hydrix, Ryan, and Shake Zula. That's already a strong enough core to make playoffs in MDL with how well they've been doing in previous seasons. So now going into the potential winners of MDL. I think the clear favorite right now, if the whole season were played literally today, and then there were BO3s that were played tomorrow, based off of those results, Riot Squad would win MDL. That's just the matter of fact. That's just how it is. So yeah, Riot Squad right now, FNS has already implemented his system into this team. They already play pretty much what you'd call proper Counter-Strike. They get map control really nicely without taking too many casualties. You don't know what they're doing all the time. They might stay there, they might exec from there, they might fall back off of there, they might leave one player, two players. You don't know what they're doing ever, and it's the FNS style that if you guys have watched FNS play before or call before, that's generally kind of been his hallmark as a leader, just kind of like taking control, leaving players, and then just like taking something else. I mean, he's got a few new tricks up his sleeve. But the thing that impresses me the most about Riot Squad is that FNS's individual skill has actually increased dramatically, and people are talking about it because I guess he's been playing a lot of FPL, and people have been asking him what's up, and he just says he's been playing. I mean, you put more hours into honing your mechanical skill, and you're just going to become a better player. So the other three teams that could potentially win MDL are, and this is a little bias, is the Peakers Advantage team. We've been really good. We've beaten teams that I've also put in the playoff likely category in scrims and BO3s. So, I mean, we think we have a really good chance right now. It depends on how our just team shapes up. I think today we would probably lose in a BO3 to Riot Squad, but hopefully that motivates my players and the team, and just like hopefully we get on top of that. And I think in just a month or two we could be definitely competing, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how everything shapes up for us. But the other two teams that I think are definitely fighting are ATK and New Identity. New Identity's just had a solid roster for a long time, a lot of firepower. It's Seb, Wrath, Dazzle, Relics, and Dapper. I mean, it's just a lot of veteran names, a lot of just high fragging potential, smart players as well. Uh, and the other team is ATK. This is probably the biggest question mark of these teams because they have what might be one of the most skilled rosters right now in MDL with JT, Sonic, Floppy, OC, and MOTM. Like, that's just on paper a disgusting lineup, but we're going to have to watch and see how they put it together. They're all moving to a team house in, I think, Dallas, Texas or something, or in the Texas area. I'm not actually, it could be somewhere else, but I think it might be another city. But regardless, I mean, they're going to be putting in the hours, they're going to be putting in the time and work and effort, and they already have a lot of the pieces to make it happen. So that's kind of my breakdown of them.
So, of those teams that you think are going to win, you said Riot Squad Esports right now you think if the games were played right now, they would be the favorite, they'd be the ones to win. Of those middle of the pack teams that you mentioned, who do you think is most likely to potentially break into the playoffs of the middle of the pack teams?
That's a good question. Right now, I think there's a couple teams that could surprise us depending on how hard they work. Rap Gang and Team Divine are both kind of question marks on paper right now because Team Divine have, I think, Hunter, Xander, this guy named Penny, Sneaky, and Twice,
Yeah,
I think it
on
is.
Wikipedia right now it says Hunter, Xander, a guy named Bull, Bul, and then Sneaky and Twice. Yeah,
Yeah, I think on their ESEA roster it's Penny. I don't know who
I don't know.
Penny is,
Honestly,
but
I don't know who they are.
every time we scrim them, they show up. Like, I don't know, they show up. We beat them a lot in stuff before. Like a while ago, we were beating them, but we haven't played them for a while, so not really sure how much they've improved. I think Rap Gang has maybe some potential to surprise because they have Fang, Four Pack, Zeppa. That's three guys that grinded from FPLC to FPL, so they have a lot of talent on that roster. Spammer, pretty low skill individually, but he was actually my coach the first time I entered MDL and played. And so I know he has a lot of ideas. I know he has a lot to bring to the table. And if he's able to kind of rally these guys together, these kind of puggy type players, there's enough skill on this roster that they could potentially slot themselves at the seventh or eighth seed. They might overtake like Team One, Party Astronauts. Who knows? Like honestly. So I think those are both pretty interesting teams to look out for. But like if either of these teams start the season off 2-3 or 1-4, it's over for them. Like they're not going to bounce back. They're not like, oh, we know we can bounce back teams. They're like, I guess this is our season. Like
Mhm.
that's just kind of how they're going to feel.
So of your playoff teams, just go through the playoff teams and just pick one player from each team that you think will be the key player to is what's going to make that team potentially reach their potential.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not going to pick Peaker's advantage because I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
feel
yeah.
weird
You don't have
picking
to
about
include
my
them.
own team. But for Riot Squad, I think the I think Peter is just gonna dominate. Every time we scrim him, he's just like totally ownage. It's kind of nuts. They have a lot of skill on their roster. But yeah, Peter definitely been the most impactful. For ATK, it's hard to not pick Floppy here. He's just been that guy that's been in MDL for how many seasons now, and he's been kind of killing it for a while. I thought Envy should have picked him up. In fact, it was reported by Dexerto and DK that Envy was looking at Floppy for a while, but he actually turned them down. So if he believes in this ATK project, he's gonna come motivated. He's gonna come to play. He's gonna come to try to win, and he's gonna try to put the team on his back. So I would pick Floppy for them. For new identity, it's a tough question. My instinctual, like my knee jerk pick would be Wrath, just because I mean, it always feels like this kid has the potential to just play professionally if he really wanted to. But having talked to him in person, I talked to him at the last Fragadelphia. He kind of just seemed like his main concern is motivation, and if he can get motivated to play a little smarter, to play a little like just wiser, and maybe last season taught him something. Maybe he's learning things from the players on his team, and he's not stagnating. He's like the player that could possibly give this team the biggest jump. For the other playoff teams, Quest. Okay, I want to let you take over for Quest.
Okay, so
Who
for
do you think?
yeah, well, Snakes is the man on Quest, and I've played with obviously Snakes and Grim historically on Space Station. Grim is a great player. Mike, love you. Great player. Super funny guys. Love them both to death. But Snakes, and I mean this, guys. Like I mean this, and I told him this, and I'm gonna say this again. Snakes has the potential to. He is the best player I've ever played with, and he doesn't it's almost like he doesn't want to reach his potential. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's mind-blowing to me. He has the most natural feel for the game I've ever seen. Like it's crazy. Like the last guy who I played with that had this like natural feel for the game like that was Stanislaw. He was the last guy. I haven't played I've played with great players, don't get me wrong. But with Snakes, man, I think he's 16. He might have turned 17 now. I don't know. But man, this kid, he's got something special. And if he grinds, Ryan, if you grind and you reach that potential that you have, man, with not even kidding, you could be one of the best players in North America by this time next year. And I told you that when I told you guys that I was going to be retiring at the end of the season, I told you that same thing then, and I'm going to say it again now is Snakes is an incredible player. He's so naturally gifted at the game. It's and I hope that he grinds. I hope MCE, their coach Matt, gets them grinding, gets them working together as a unit, and I sincerely hope that he manages to reach his potential because it's a disservice to the CS community if he doesn't. And I mean that. It's he owes it to everybody watching him that to watch greatness
Yeah.
unfold. I'm not even kidding. I mean it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. All right. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And not to just keep gushing about him, but like when we scrimmed against them, like we have a really good team, and we don't lose 3v1 advantages or 4v1 advantages to anyone, but we lost like a 4v1 to Snakes the other day. Like he's got something else going on in his brain, and
Dude,
it
he
is
just has this.
exciting.
Yep.
It's really sick. So moving on though, Singularity. I think you just have to pick Hydrix here. Their roster is kind of in flux. Don't know exactly what's going to happen, but
Yeah, we're
Hydrix
not
is just
sure. Yeah.
he's been kind of underrated for a long time.
I think so too.
But
I
he's
think
just
he's
good.
always been one of the best players on that team, if not the best. I know Floppy gets a lot of praise, and rightfully so. But I think Hydrix has been super underrated on that team for a long time.
Yeah, so he would be my pick for that. Team one, got to go with Turk TRK. I don't know, like that dude
Just a god.
just he just wins. Oh, you know what? Okay, I would have said TRK a season
Okay.
ago, but that Barton guy is disgusting. Like,
uh,
I don't know who he is really, actually, but like, he is the new TRK of
okay.
that team. Or I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he every time he plays, it's just like this guy. He's like the Brazilian Wrath or something. Like I don't know. He just like shows up and just like headshots everybody in a bomb site. It's disgusting. So I'm gonna pick Barton. I'm gonna
All right.
just guess maybe that's a little surprise, but
I think the last
Party
one is
Astronauts.
yeah, Party
Yeah,
Astronauts.
I mean, you gotta go with Ponalone. Like Ponalone, just such a solid opper. It's definitely in the running for top 5 MDL oppers, something like that. Like every season, like he's just really solid player. Also very is underrated how mechanically talented he is. People just kind of see his age and they're probably like, oh, he's just a smart opper. But no, he actually like hits shots that other people have difficulty with, and he does it with pretty good consistency. He's a grinder. So, got to shout out Ponalone. So
Okay.
I do think there's a lot of skill on that Party Astronauts team.
Yep. All right. Well, this has been the Peaker's Advantage preview of the season 32 of North American MDL. Again, thank you, Maddie, our $25 patron. And again, guys, if you watched the video this far and you haven't yet done it, I don't know why, but if you haven't, go to patreon.com/Peaker's Advantage and you can become a patron today. Every dollar counts, even if it's $1, $5, 10, whatever you guys want to donate, whatever you guys want to help us out with. Super helpful. Allows us to keep making content, allow us to upgrade our content eventually. And we really appreciate all the support. And again, don't forget to subscribe, like the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this preview, and we'll see you next time.